you go. So here's question 3, and it will always start with write an account of the ways in which the lives of Anglo-Saxon, well in this case it's always write an account. This question is about change or continuity. Continuity means something that stayed the same, change means change. Okay? This question will always be about that. So in this case, the question is about what stayed the same. And in the case here it's a question of asking about what stayed the same, about what it was like, in other words, to be a peasant. Because actually we know, don't we, that peasants' lives probably in many ways didn't really change very much. The magic number again is 2. You're looking for 2 factors and you're looking for detailed evidence. So let's have a look. So what are we talking about in this question? We're talking about the lives of peasants. And I'm going to try and divide my answer up into 2 things in which the ways their lives change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the nature of their work to start with, because that really didn't change very much. So what kind of things could I include in my answer? Well, I could talk about the open field system, because that didn't change very much. I'll talk about that in my answer. I could talk about the fact that the seasons played a really, really important role in their lives and the kind of things they did. I could talk about the fact that there was this idea of shared pasture for their animals. Okay. So I'm going to say something about those 3, and I'm going to write that up in a minute. The second thing, so I've done nature of work. The second thing I'm going to talk about is their relationship with their Lord. And what could I talk about there? Well, I could talk about the work they had to do for him, and I could talk about how free they were in relation to him. Okay? So I'm going to talk about those 2 areas in my answer. And again, I think you'll see a similarity with the previous 8-mark question. Is I'm trying to take 2 factors and really explain, in this case, the question is why did things largely stay the same. But I might mention some things that did change a bit as well to show it wasn't quite as simple as everything just stayed the same. Okay? So I'm going to turn over, I'm actually going to write that now so you can see. And again, I want to be nice and clear. It says, how did they stay the same? So one way in which the lives of peasants stayed the same in the type of work they did. Okay. They worked in the open field system, which meant farming their own strip of land, for most of the year. Their lives were dictated to by the seasons. Spring was for sowing, summer and autumn for harvest, and winter for preparation. I've not written an awful lot about it, but I've given some summary that it was, they would also use common pasture for their animals. Most of the food they produced would be for them to eat, although some might be used as rent or could be sold. Okay, so there you go. I've not written everything, but I've written something. Now I'm going to write about another area, and I said I was going to write the relationship with the Lord. Another thing that did not change was their relationship with their Lord. Peasants were required to work for about 80 days a year for him in return for their own land to farm. The Lord would also have a great deal of control over his villeins, who could not marry or leave the manor without his permission. Again, I'm just going to sort of summarise what's this telling us. Life did not change much for peasants after 1066. However, their old Anglo-Saxon masters were replaced by Norman ones, for whom they would feel less connection. However, largely their lives remained full of hard work and little changed day to day. There we go. Okay, again, that's my answer. I don't say it's a perfect answer, but what I'm trying to get you to think about is those two factors: detailed evidence, link it back to the question, try and have some overall argument. Okay, there it is. Right.